I'd eat this book, but she just also has very demonic tendencies. You guys are strange, but I like it. Hello creeps! Andy here, and today I have some oddly specific book recommendations for all of you. I asked you guys over on Instagram. I left a little thing, actually I don't even have what the picture said, but it said something like, recommend a book that ... and then you guys filled in the blank. So I have all of these. I've looked at a few of them, but I haven't gotten anything ready. So this is, you know, just my honest opinion of these book recommendations. Some of them are funny, some of them are serious. So let's go through. I'm very excited about these. Is cozy and creepy. Some of these I'm gonna have to think a second on. I'm gonna have to come back to that one. Changed your life. There's a few. I've talked about how Jane Eyre and Pet Sematary have changed my life in past videos, and I've probably talked about this too, but let me see if I could find this short story. I'm gonna have to just throw the name up here because I'm gonna have to find it later, but basically this story changed my life in a big way. I mean, there's a few of them. I can make a whole video on stories that have changed my life, but I'm just gonna give you a quick one. This is a short story. It's about a guy who passes away. His body is sold to a rich person, and this rich person plans to defile the body. However, the person's soul that passes away is attached to the body, so he sees what is happening to his body. The reason why I think this one has made such an impact on me is this is a story I read in college, and for a long time I didn't want to change my major to English because I didn't want to just read literature, like traditional classic literature in all of my classes, you know, like I was definitely much more interested in horror and the macabre and darker things. And so this was in, I think, my first semester that I transferred to English, and I thought, oh, I'm in the right place. I have found my people. It's just really cool seeing books that are in the literary canon that are more macabre and have darker themes or have some murder or horror elements in them as well. And I don't think that that's even considered a horror story, but like that's a horror story, you know? It just made me think of literature completely differently, and I just went into getting my English degree in a better place knowing that that was the type of stuff that I was going to read. And we read plenty of things with horror elements in it. Jane Eyre definitely has some creepy, spooky, supernatural stuff in there. We read a Joyce Carol Oates's Where Are You Going, Where Have You Been, which is a story of a serial killer. I mean, we read so much stuff in those classes that were, you know, at least maybe not horror stories, but had definitely horror elements in them. Let you question reality. I just did a video on this guy, Negative Space by B.R. Yeager, and I think that this is the perfect one that makes you be like, wait, what is real? What is going on? Oh, you know what? Another one. This Recursion by Blake Crouch. This one messed me up. It makes you question reality. It gave me an existential crisis. It's about these people who are having false lives, like an entire life. They just wake up one day and go, oh my gosh, I was married to that guy. And then they can tell you everything, their whole life, they had kids, everything. And then they'll go to meet them, and the person will be like, I've never met you before. And so they start taking their own lives because they're losing their own mind, and it's about this detective and the scientist who are trying to figure out what's going on. It's a gnarly book, and if you want an existential crisis, highly recommend. Dark Matter even too, but to a lesser extent. That one's, I feel like, a little bit more happy. Recursion made me fucked up a little bit. Made you cry. Okay, there are a lot of books that made me cry, but let me find a specific one. What was it called? Oh, it's this one. Oh my god. This book made me bawl. This is These Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. It's in the thriller section, but it is not a thriller. If it were a movie, it would be much more like a family drama. And oh my god, it is so fucking heartbreaking. It's about this man and this little girl who are living in the woods away from society. You don't really know why or what's going on until later on in the story. And all of the characters are they're three-dimensional in that there's not just like a bad guy and a good guy. Every character is both bad and good, and you can see their flaws and where they go wrong in life, but then you also have sympathy for them as well. And I think that's like how I view most people, you know? Like, I don't think that most people aren't just like inherently evil or inherently good. I think we all have a mixture in us. I bawled reading this book. This book sucked. It sucked in that it made me feel, you know? But it didn't suck. It's a good book, but it made me cry. Confused You. Oh, Irene's... That book confused the hell out of me. I still don't know who had syphilis. I'm very confused about that. It's about a guy who goes to a sex worker, and I don't know if he gets syphilis and the rest of the story is just like him slowly losing his mind. I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that book's about. That was weird. Scared You. Oh, I know. Okay, these books actually scared me. Truthfully, like, couldn't sleep, terrified me, scared me. The first one is The Exorcism of Annalise Michel by Felicitas D. Goodman. This is the book, the true story of what the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose is based on. It's a true story. This really happened to this girl, regardless of whether you see it as a medical emergency or actually an exorcism or a possession. You know, is up to the interpretation of the reader. I've done a huge deep dive into this. I have 2 like hour-long videos where I just discuss this book and how much it fucked me up. So I will leave those linked down below. If you guys want to be scared, read this book. It is so heartbreaking seeing what happens to this girl and the afflictions that she suffered and the pain that this girl went through. My God, it is so fucking sad. But it's also fucking scary because the things that she's seeing and witnessing and or like perceiving, like what she thinks she's seeing, is terrifying. I guess true stuff bothers me a little bit more. This is another one that actually really freaked me out. This is by G.L. Davies. It's The Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest. Again, I'll link all these books down below. It's a story written by the author. He lived in this haunted house and he's telling his accounts of what happened. After the story is published, a couple comes to him and says, I know what house you lived in because those things happened to me too. So the story is broken into 2 different parts of this couple's experience in the house. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. Oh, it freaks me out. And then his account of living in this house. And it's also really cool because at the end he goes into this whole deep dive about different things that could lead to potentially seeing ghosts. Because like, I don't know myself if I believe in ghosts. Like, I don't know. I'm more of like have to see it to believe it type of person. And you get to the back and there are different potential explanations for what could have happened. I just think that it's a cool read and really creepy. It really freaked me out. Okay, next. Made you question your life's decisions. Oh, man, question my life's decisions. I'm gonna have to think about that one too. A book that your cat would judge you for. Based on her need to destroy every book that I read, maybe this one, The Cabin at the End of the World, because she actually did eat chunks of it out of it. Usually she bites them and there's like little kitty teeth marks on all my books, but she actually ripped chunks out of this one. So I feel like she doesn't like this one for some reason. Sorry, Paul Tremblay. It's an amazing book. It's about a couple in a cabin with their family. 4 people break in and say that they have to willingly sacrifice one of them or the world will end. It's a fantastic book, but I think my cat would judge me for reading this. I know that I say that she's evil and stuff, but she actually is a really sweet cat and she's like way more cuddly. Well, I don't know if cuddly is the right word, but she is very sweet. She always wants to be around us. She is a very sweet cat, but she just also has very demonic tendencies. You wish you could read for the first time again. There's so many. Honestly, this is my bookshelf of my favorite books. There's so many that I would love to read again. The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. The Martian by Andy Weir, Blake Crouch's Dark Matter, American Psycho. Oh, I'd love to read that one again. The Hellbound Heart, any Kafka story. Oh, Pen Pal. Pen Pal by Dathan Arbok. That one's creepy. That's a great question. I feel like there's so many books that I would love to read again, but that Dathan Arbok book, that Pen Pal book, really did creep me out. And I remember reading it, you know, like this on my couch, like, oh my God, what's going on? I could not put it down. So yeah, I think maybe that one. That would be a good one. I didn't tell you what Pen Pal was about, and it's kind of a story that it's better to go into not knowing, but it's about a young boy. Well, it's about a man who's looking back on his life as a young boy, and he's starting to put together some strange things that happened in his childhood, but this honestly is a book that genuinely creeped me out. Marlo would read. What's a book? Recommend a book that Marlo would read. Okay, Marlo is my dog. Sweetest dog in the world, like truly the sweetest dog you could imagine. She is so gentle and sweet and kind. And we had Mosley first, and then we got Morella, and then we got Marlo. So Mosley and Morella were best friends, always slept together. She never had an issue with him. The second we brought Marlo home, Morella was like, fuck you. And she beats the crap out of her all the time. Their size difference is staggering. My dog could do damage to her, but she has never even lifted a paw at her. She wanted to play with her when she was younger, and she would just crawl towards her. I'm telling you, like, Marlo is the sweetest dog ever. So Marlo would probably like to read any book that horrible things happen to a cat, and the one off the top of my head is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. Just because the cat, spoiler alert, doesn't make it, and she believes that all cats are evil. And if there is a cat outside even, she'll either freeze or she will go all the way around it. Like, she does not mess with cats. She's terrified of cats because Morella just beats the crap out of her all day. So yeah, probably any book that horrible things happen to a cat in. And this is just my British lit book from college, but I also think Marlo would read this Tragical History of Dr. Faustus story, because this is actually what Marlo is named from. She's named after this dude. So yeah, maybe she would like to read that story? I don't know, maybe we should ask her. I recommend a book that shouldn't be uplifting, but is. I feel this way. I don't have this book, but I feel this way about His Pain by James Rath White. Like, there's something very beautiful about that story that makes you kind of like have new appreciation for life. A recent one too, The Necrophiliac, this Gabrielle Whitcott book that I just read. This one too, like, it's a really messed up story. It's about messed up things. His Pain is too. It's about a kid who everything he experiences is pain, and then this like guru comes and tries to help him solve it. But it is also about just like appreciating what you have. And same with The Necrophiliac. So dumb that I'm even saying that. But there is some beauty to be had in this story, and I really like books that are told in a messed up way but do have kind of beautiful sentiments to them. And I think I find that a lot in extreme horror books, and I think that's why I like them. It's because they're crude, they're gross, they're vile, but there's usually something like kind of beautiful under the surface. Same with Dead Inside. I'm not sure where that one is, but Dead Inside is just a disgusting story, again, of necrophilia, but it's also like a kind of beautiful story about befriending or finding friends in the world that are like you. And there's something really beautiful about that, especially probably to a lot of us growing up reading horror books. No one that I knew read horror or watched horror movies, and I was just kind of like, yeah, I never really felt like I had friends that had the same passions as I did. And so I think that books like that are very beautiful, like the really more messed up ones that have nice things underneath. Makes your skin crawl. What's a book that's actually made my skin crawl? I have to come back to that. Man, I don't know. Screams feminine rage. Probably, I don't know where this one is either, but probably May of Fly. That's like, it's like the female American Psycho kind of. There are some, you know, interesting questions in there of like, when a man does something that wild, you know, like commit murder, nobody really bats an eye. But when a woman does it, everyone's very surprised and like, well, what led to it? What happened? And it's just a story of like, yeah, female rage, just to show that women can be as needlessly violent as men on some occasions as well. So yeah, probably that one. Gives childhood nostalgia. So I don't know if you mean a book, an adult book that gives me nostalgia, or a child book that gives me nostalgia, but I'll show you one of each. As far as the childhood books go, the Bailey School Kids books, Adventures of the Bailey School Kids, were my favorite books when I was little. I mean, pre Goosebumps even. I loved these books. They were my favorite. It's about these 4 students in a school, and they're the only ones that realize these monsters are kind of infiltrating their town. And they have cute names like Ghosts Don't Eat Potato Chips, Vampires Don't Wear Polka Dots. And the kids are the only ones who know how to stop this. All the adults are just like too dumb or too wrapped up with their own adult world to do anything about it. So the kids solve the crime. These were, I mean, I've always been introduced to a lot of horror because I have a lot of older siblings and stuff. And so I've always watched horror movies, but these were probably my first like age appropriate introduction to like the horror thriller genre. And then these guys, these are the Addison Moore Murder in the Mix series that I've been obsessed with. I just found them last year, and they're the most cutesy things ever, and they remind me of books that I've read as a kid but for adults. There's like strip clubs and some naughty stuff in there, and like definitely descriptions of, you know, intercourse, and there's like this whole love triangle, and you know what I mean, like it's definitely intended for adult audiences, but it makes me feel the magic I felt when reading books for like that I did when I was a kid, you know? It's about this baker. I mean, I've talked about this so many times. You guys are probably like, I know what it's about, but it's about this baker who solves a murder in her town. And yeah, they're cute. They have cute names too, like Bloodbaths and Banana Cake, Red Velvet Vengeance, 7-Layer Slayer. And I've really enjoyed, I think there's only honestly been like one of them that I haven't loved, but all the rest I've absolutely loved. I thought that they were so freaking cute. This might have to be broken up into 2 parts, my friends. You guys give me a lot to think about. You want to eat a book. I want to eat. What does that mean? Just like ravenously consume or literally eat? I don't know. What book do I want to eat? You guys are strange, but I like it. I feel like it has to be something that's like a little weird. What about Bataille's Story of the Eye? I mean, this is one that's just, it's fucking weird. And there's just, it's erotic literature, but there's, I mean, more to it than surface level. But if you just read it as a surface level weird book, it's fucking weird. I would eat this book. Yeah, I'd eat this book. And then also, just looking up here, reminded me of this one. Somebody asked, is cozy and creepy? And I think this is a good recommendation for that. Who Goes There? And this is the novella that the story The Thing is based off of. And it's just like a cozy, fun, creepy read. And I don't know if I feel like it's cozy because it's like a winter, you know, wrap yourself in a blanket, read this during a storm kind of thing, but that's what I envision when reading this book. So maybe that's why. But yeah, highly recommend that one if you guys haven't read that yet. I also think any Darcy Coates book is a pretty good, creepy, spooky, cozy book. Make you question your life's decisions. I still need to come back to that one. Oh, you know what's a book that makes me question my life's decisions? This one or even this one. These are 2 books written by medical professionals. I think they're both doctors, maybe. This guy's for sure a doctor. I think she's a physician too. But they are both best-selling authors plus physicians, and reading these books makes me be like, I can't even write one book? I'm not even a doctor. You know what I mean? So books like this make me question my life choices. Yeah, for sure. By the way, that was Coma by Robin Cook. That's about this woman who's working at a hospital. I think she's like a resident at a hospital, and she starts finding that a lot of patients are going into comas kind of unexpectedly. And so she does some more digging and finds out some ulterior motives being done at the hospital. The other one was The Surgeon by Tess Gerritsen, but probably one that would make a little bit more sense is Harvest, because this is about it's like very similar to that one. It's about these organ donors that are being illegally obtained and like how you can purchase an organ, and it's definitely about money and what money can buy and like how fucked up our society is and things like that, and people that are trying to bring it down. Yeah, I think that's a good answer, right? Because like when you read a book from like somebody who has a full career and then just writes for fun on the side and is good at it, you're like, man, I'm jealous. I'm jealous that I can't get my shit together. So yeah, that's good. Makes your skin crawl. Makes your skin crawl. I feel like that's such a specific feeling, just like, ugh. Is it The Terror? Is it The Terror? I'm not gonna get it out because it's back there, but that Dan Simmons book, I mean, real life events freak me out. And it's about the ship, the Terror, and it's crossing the Northwest Passage in like was it the 1800s? And just the horrible things that the men went through. That book, ugh, fucked me up. Like there's a lot of scenes that just messed me up in that one. So maybe that one makes my skin crawl. I'll do a quick look after and see if there's any other books. You want to eat. You guys are so funny. Puts you off reading for weeks. I don't know that there is a book like that. I really can't think of a book that makes me, like, that puts me off reading. I will say though that books that are more intense, I definitely have to take more time in between intense books than I would, like, you know, typical thrillers or whatever. I don't really take much time off reading, and there's not really much that does that to me. And even if I read a book that I didn't enjoy, it makes me excited to read a new book and hope that I'll enjoy that one. So I don't think that there is one. Okay, we'll do a few more, and then I think I'm gonna have to break this into a few parts. Okay, captures the magic of kids' summer. I have one. This is great. Come here, you little bitch. This book was one of the only books that I can honestly say reminded me of being a kid. There have been a few. There was one I feel like kind of recently too, but now I can't even remember it. But Summer of Night by Dan Simmons, holy crap. And this book was written or takes place in the 60s, so it's definitely not what my childhood was like, but at the same time, it's so nostalgic that it feels like it was my childhood. Just them riding bikes, and you know, I was probably the last generation to live without cell phones, you know? So my whole life, I mean, I didn't have a cell phone until, well, we also didn't have money, but I didn't have a cell phone till high school. Yeah, this reminded me of my childhood, that like riding bikes outside. There's one description in here of like this kid, he is so exhausted, he's so dehydrated, and he has never felt better in his life. It's just the most beautiful description of relationships between children that I've read in a lot of books. And yeah, it made me feel nostalgic for those days that we'll never get back. Oh my God, we'll never get them back. That's so sad. Oh, okay. I forgot to mention that this one is just about a group of friends that see something that's going wrong with the town and tries to stop it themselves, kind of like an adult, or written for an adult's kind of Bailey School Kids kind of thing, with monsters and all sorts of stuff. It's a really fantastic book, but I actually found the paragraph, and it says, let's find it here. Dale was tired, achy from about a dozen bruises. Sorry, I'm really shaking because I drank too much caffeine. Scratched on his arms and legs, itchy from his now stiff jeans, dehydrated to a point of cracked lips and a headache, and starved because he hadn't eaten any real food since breakfast 13 hours earlier. He felt wonderful. Isn't that such a beautiful description of how you felt as a kid running around with your friends? Cures your depression. Oh, a book that cures your depression. Cures my depression. What book could I recommend that would cure your depression? I don't know what would help you. Like, I don't know if a disturbing book would help you. I don't know if a fun book would help you. But truly, these Murder in the Mix series, like, you can't be sad reading them. They're just cute little cozy mysteries. This is the one for this month, by the way. But besides that, I mean, it's so dependent on you and what you like. I gave you a nice one, but The Devil All the Time by Donald Ray Pollock. Every time I read this book, I just think, my life's not that bad. It's a pretty messed up story about this town, or I think it's two separate towns, and just all the horrible things that happen and all the awful things that people do to each other. It honestly is a harrowing read. Fantastic novel, but yeah, makes me happy that I'm not any of the characters in the story. So that one will cure my depression just by being like, you know what, my life's not that bad. I have a bunch left. So let me know if you guys want a part 2 of oddly specific book recommendations. But otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon with another horror video. Bye, guys!
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.